This episode of the Danger Close podcast is brought to you by Cry Havoc. From New York Times #1 best-selling author, Jack Carr. Cry Havoc, a Tom Reese thriller. Order now.
I knew I had to write this myself because the common thing is, for an actor or musician, they always want to put the guy with you, let's keep it safe, make sure it gets delivered.
Right.
And then he has to start sentences with the word I. How do you do that?
Right.
How do you write something authentically,
Right.
knowing you're not the person and I did this?
Right.
I couldn't go anywhere near that.
So fantastic. I'm just so excited to do this. The book is amazing and so well written. I have so many questions for you. I know I'll never get to them all. I have a whole bunch.
Okay. Oh my God.
Here.
Wow.
I know I'll never get to them, but
I've got yours right here as well.
once again, too cool.
Yeah. I got this on Thursday and have barely had time enough to sit down and eat meals, and I'm sure you can relate. So I didn't get a chance to crack it, and apologies.
No worries. Thank you.
But I did have a question. It showed up in this, which was really awesome, and thank you. Are these, because the book takes place in Vietnam, correct?
Right, 1968.
And it's the guy, it's the father's story, right? Okay, I did a little bit of research. And when I took this out of the box it showed up in, I was reminded instantly of the tiger stripes Dad wears in Apocalypse, right?
Exactly.
So is this like a vintage version of? Okay.
That's
So
exactly
this is intentional because this has evolved throughout the years, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
That tiger stripe camo is most closely associated with special operations in Vietnam, particularly Navy SEALs and Army Special Forces Green Berets. Those are the two groups that it's most closely associated with. So wearing those in Apocalypse Now, and then the SEAL teams have this close connection with that camouflage pattern. And that box right there, the company doesn't make it in tiger stripe. So I had to get the boxes, take them to a hydro dipper, which is like a tub that you take a rifle and then you dip a rifle in there and it comes up in a camouflage pattern. So they had it disassembled, dipped into the hydro dipper, pulled back out, dry, reassembled, and then all the stuff put in there and then sent to you.
Amazing.
So, quite the process.
Yes, indeed. Wow. And so is the guy who runs that, is that the description of his job? He's a hydro dipper?
He's a hydro dipper. I think it's like somebody's garage because I didn't go down there. My chief of staff went down there and dealt with it all. So I think it's some guy in his garage that it's on the side of the thing.
Yeah.
He did a great job. So I mean, it's that.
So then no two are identical.
I'm not sure about that. I think they might everyone be slightly different, but that's a very good question. I'm gonna have to put a couple side by side and see if I can tell. But I would think they would be slightly different. Yeah, that's right.
But they're all this can't be all mixed up, and you hope that they stay separated, right?
I should have seen it. I should have looked.
Yeah, it must infuse the different colors at different.
I don't know. I think I saw one online, and it's like you look in this mixture, it's just like a thick sludge. Of course, some hydro dipper is going to watch this and tell me no, it's not a sludge. But it has like the pattern in the liquid, and I think you dip it in, and everything kind of stays still.
Oh, wow!
Thing up. But that doesn't make any sense now when I describe it that way. So that's very. I'm gonna have to do a little.
if the colors are separated,
Right.
you
It seems like
can't dip the case, right?
seems like that. Now that we talk
Yeah.
about it this way, it seems
Yeah.
logical. But in my mind, that's how I'm envisioning it, dipping it into water, coming out like that. But I might be
Right.
way off. I might be conflating something. I
It's all
don't
right. It's all right. I'm gonna go with your
We'll go
version.
with it.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
So
man.
we've covered hydro dipping. We got that
Now
out
I
of
have
the
a lot more
way.
questions than I had
Yeah.
about hydro dipping than when we started this.
Good
But
stuff.
oh man, but do we? You're not going to remember this, but we met once, and
Oh
this
boy.
is in I don't know if it was 2012 or 2013, and you were at
Okay.
a Mets game with your dad, and it
Oh,
was like, gosh, maybe late summer, something like that, maybe August timeframe, somewhere in there.
it was August 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Dad's birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was his 73rd birthday because that was the number on his jersey.
No way.
Yes, yes. And so he's 85 this year, born in 1940. So that
Wow.
would put us in
Something
2013,
right around there. Yeah, I think
right?
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was there was a moment from my childhood when he had gone up to the Bay Area to do some reshoots on Apocalypse at Francis's estate,
Yeah.
right? And so it was a lot of stuff in the PBR, but the boat wasn't even in the water, right?
Uh,
Close-ups and things like that. And then he finished early, and or like on the third day, they got what they needed, and I wanted to go to see the Dodgers play the Giants at Candlestick Park, right? And so France, because we barely had a half an hour if we had driven, so he hires a helicopter, right? And and so it lands, takes us to the stadium. We watch the game, but there's a moment during. Oh, I think it was his birthday, right? There's a moment during the game where I have to go to the bathroom. So I go and I come back and I sit down and he says, "You missed it. You missed it." And I'm like, "What? Somebody hit a grand slam? The score hasn't changed, right?" He says, "No, they put my name on the scoreboard. It said Happy Birthday, Martin, right?" And I'm like,
Dang.
"Oh gosh." And I had a Polaroid video camera. Do you remember those called Polar Vision?
I don't know. I don't remember that. I had the Polaroid, but not the video.
Yeah, you would take the cartridge out after you filmed, you'd put it in this machine and it would develop it like just like the camera
That's cool.
and then play it for you, but you couldn't edit. So
Okay.
anyway, so I would have filmed that, but I was in the bathroom. So about 20 years goes by. Somewhere like in my 30s, maybe even like early 40s, he finally tells me, "Hey, remember that thing at Candlestick Park on my birthday where I said they put my name on the scoreboard?" He says, "That never happened. That never happened." And I'm like, "So what was?" He said, "Well, your heroes at the time were baseball players, and I guess I wanted to feel as valuable and as important to you as those guys. I know." And I'm like, "So you could have told me, like, I don't know, during high school, you could have told me
A little
in my
earlier.
20s." Yeah. And so the reason I bring that up is because in Cincy, when we met on his birthday, that many years later, they did put him on the scoreboard.
No
They
way.
did wish him happy birthday on the scoreboard. Yeah, and I can't remember the exact verbiage they used or what the cool callback quote was to our night, decades earlier. But
Amazing.
yeah, so that's what was going on the
Interesting.
night that now did we meet in Bob Castellini's box by any
Yeah.
chance?
Yeah, we had the box next to it. So we were friends with
Oh,
one of the other owners, one of the multiple owner people. And so
got it.
we were right next to you and
Okay.
we saw you over there and waved and they told you somebody came and told you, some assistant or somebody said, "Hey, there's some Navy SEALs over in the box next to yours." And it was with some guys that had just been on the Bin Laden raid not too earlier.
Wow.
It was pretty close, a couple of years out.
Okay.
Laden raid, and they told you that, and I think you were like, "Well, hey, bring them over. I'd like to meet them." And so we came in, said hi to you. I mean, we're right next door. We could have just said it, reached across the thing, or you could have
Right.
said, if they want to say hi, bring them on over. And so
Sure.
we came over and said hi, and met your dad, who I mean, and you came across as totally like just a guy's guy, like just you were just
Oh,
awesome.
right on.
All of us were
Thank
like,
you.
"Dude, this guy is amazing." He was just like normal dude, like just hanging out. And then your dad was like such a gentleman. I remember to this day, like
Wow.
the gentleman your dad was,
Wow.
like old
Wow.
school gentleman, and that really stood out. But you guys were, it was like normal dudes. But the other thing about that night, so we came over, said hi, we took a picture, which I was trying to find, but it was before everything went to the cloud. It was
Got
like
it.
before
Got
everything
it.
up there, and so it's on some hard drive somewhere, and I couldn't
I
find it
I
in time.
got you. Okay.
But so we do have a picture together. But the other thing that stands out about that night to me is then we left and we walked out to back to our box, and I looked down, and there's a line of women outside the door, like going down, like waiting to catch a glimpse of you or say hi to you or
Oh,
something outside your box. But we know exactly who they're waiting to see lined up here outside this thing. It was,
you
it
don't
was
think you don't think it was for Dad?
I mean, possibly it was his birthday. It's a
Wow.
possibility, I guess, but albeit a remote one. But that was fun. That was great to
That's
meet. You guys were
awesome.
wonderful
Wow.
tunes. Yeah, you guys.
Wow. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. That's a trip. But that night was the night that we met. It's just a
crazy.
little bit cosmic, isn't it?
That's wild. That is so
Yeah.
wild. I mean, I will find the picture at some point. It will resurface. I know it's in a text on an old phone and it's in a hard drive somewhere. So I will find that at some point.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, And so I'm going to jump into a couple things. And I have to ask, do your parents still have an answering machine and a landline?
They do.
That's amazing.
They
I love
do.
that. I
I
love it.
know. I know. They still live in the house that we moved into when I was 8 years old.
No way.
Yeah, that's the house in the book that I talk
Yeah.
about.
I didn't
That
realize they
was,
still there.
yeah, it was in walking distance from the place on Birdview,
Well,
which
yeah,
I
you could have moved. You could
affectionately,
have moved. You could have walked there.
yeah,
So
which I
tough.
nicknamed Birdshit Avenue. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm working my way towards that. I mean, I feel like if I could go back to, I don't know how you feel about it. If I can go 1980 to, December 31st of 1989 and just keep doing that cycle, I think I
Wow.
would do it. I think I would go back if I could. I know it's not possible, so I go back through movies, through books. I drive cars
Sure.
from the 80s, some from the early 90s, old Land Cruisers, that sort of thing. So, but getting a landline and an answering machine, that's my ultimate goal, is to get to that place and hand the cell phone to chief of staff or an assistant or something like that.
That
But
would be
not there yet.
like, yeah, that would be a measure of freedom
Yes,
that none of us have felt in a long time, right?
exactly.
And Dad doesn't have a cell phone.
So great.
He keeps one in his car just for an emergency, but
Uh,
there's no reason because it only as far as he's concerned, it only works calling out, like calling people. It doesn't. It's just there. And so Mom does have a cell phone,
okay.
but Dad does all of his work and his correspondence and interactions from another landline and an answering machine back in his office.
No kidding.
He'll go in there and he'll hit play on the messages. It's a trip. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And he doesn't miss a call. He doesn't nobody gets like disappeared in that space of his,
Man, I bet he writes letters too. I bet he writes
He
letters.
he writes letters.
Yeah.
He writes letters, and there's been a couple instances, especially recently, because he writes in longhand, right? And so he wrote a letter to my son Bob, a lovely letter. It was funny as hell, and or in cursive rather, and I read it and I said, yeah, I'm gonna have to read this to him. And he was like, "What? Your son doesn't know how to read?" I'm like, "No, no, no. He's really smart. Not about that." But the kids today, they're not taught how to do that, which kind of blows my mind. Does it not exist anywhere in life where they're going to need that skill? Is that where we've arrived or
I guess
wound up?
so. Yeah, I think that might be it. But it's such a great thing
Wow.
to have, just that personal note to write one, to send it to somebody. There's something about that. And I knew your dad would still do that. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
man,
Yes.
gosh, I love that. The 6-hour P365 Fuse, the fusion of capability and concealment. Its 21+1 capacity meets a razor-thin 1-inch grip module for unmatched versatility and shootability. Fuse delivers the accuracy and grit of a full-size pistol right out of the box. Optic-ready, compact footprint stainless steel slide with aggressive serrations, 4.3-inch carbon steel barrel, 21-round magazines, all the benefits of a full-size pistol fused with the concealability of a compact. A true crossover carry has arrived.
The ultimate fusion of capability and concealment. Fuse by 6 Hour.
The last movie I saw before I went to boot camp in 1996, I went there on June 3rd or 4th of 1996, was The Arrival.
Oh,
Can you believe that? The
seriously?
last movie I saw before I entered the military. And I went back
Wow.
to check to see, make sure my memory was right on the ride here from the airport. I was like checking dates and all that sort of thing. And I went in there and I found out that it came out on May 31st of 1996. So my memory is
Wow.
intact. Is that crazy?
What a trip. What a
Yeah.
trip. Yeah, the film wasn't great.
I thought it was.
Um,
I remember thinking at the time how great it was because there wasn't really. It was so different than other things that were out there. It didn't seem like a copy of anything. It wasn't trying to like jump onto some bandwagon of something else. It was like really unique in this space. And I remember thinking like this is pretty good. And your acting was something like wasn't just doing another previous character that you'd done before. I thought it was really
oh,
good. I
thank
remember
you.
thinking
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. It was the first film in the sci-fi space that actually combined, I think for the very first time, animatronic puppets
Yeah.
with CGI. Because up until
Yeah.
then it was one or the other,
Yeah. It's like
and it was the
changeover
first,
time.
yeah. And the guy who wrote it and directed it, a gentleman named David Toohey, really sharp cat. He wrote the script for The Fugitive.
Oh wow. Very cool.
Yeah, so a pretty serious pedigree there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we kind of felt as the production moved along that Tui was a little more dialed in to the aliens than he was to the humans. We used to joke with him about it.
Okay.
Yes, but
I
that's
remember.
it. But that for that to be the last
Yeah.
thing you see before the journey
Yeah.
that turned into a 20-year odyssey, right?
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
yeah, and thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I
it.
mean, I don't know that there's enough. I mean, is that enough gratitude expressed when people just say that, or does it feel like they're just saying it, or you
Oh
can
no.
tell from the person how it's
No,
delivered,
I can
right?
tell. I can tell.
Okay, the sincerity, the
Yeah,
sincerity.
exactly.
Okay.
Sincerity, and I really appreciate that. And
Oh, right on, right
that's
on.
yeah, that means a lot. So thank you. Thank
Oh,
you for
right on. Yeah. No, you're doing a job that a lot of us just are so grateful that you are and we're not,
oh man, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a lot of questions about Navy SEALs when I get to that stage,
Okay.
which was awesome. And I remember, I'll say it right now, when I saw the casting for that, because back then you had to find like in the newspaper, or maybe in Entertainment Weekly, or maybe in from Mary Hart on Entertainment Tonight or something, where they
Right.
do little like that's how you'd find out about things, obviously before the internet. And I remember
Right.
finding out that you were going to be, because I already knew I wanted to be a SEAL since I was 7 years old. And
Wow.
I'm in high school when Navy SEALs comes out, and I see the casting thing announced somewhere, and I remember thinking, oh, this is perfect. Charlie Sheen is playing a Navy SEAL. There is no better person in the world who can play a Navy SEAL than Charlie Sheen right now.
That's awesome.
It
That's
was so
awesome.
great. I was so fired
Thank
up. I
you.
went there the night before it came out. It came out on a Friday, but they had to open a Thursday night at midnight or something. They played it in the theater, and I went and saw it that first night, the pre-night, to see this
Oh,
thing. And
wow.
it was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Again, one of those films we could have used a little more dough just for the production value. There were a couple of things that they did I thought were kind of they felt groundbreaking, but they were old school. There's a thing called a foreground miniature. Are you familiar with that?
No.
It was an art form used in the 40s and 50s, and like a model builder who would build something so detailed and put it in the foreground, and then the forced perspective would be whatever was going on, with your actors. It looked like it was behind them, and they
Uh,
actually had a little guy like that big, one of the bad guys, and they somehow they put a tiny flashing light just at the very end of the barrel of his rifle, and he's
Interesting.
up there as a sniper
Yeah, yeah.
in a foreground miniature that's literally this big. It's when we get to Beirut, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Towards
yeah.
the end.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So just things like that. But then the end of the movie kind of didn't really know how to resolve itself.
I don't know. I mean, for a how old was I at that point? 17, maybe 17 or something like that. Knowing that in a couple of years I'd be going into the SEAL teams. I mean, I thought it was awesome. And the lines in there in the SEAL teams, we'd say that stuff. We'd use those lines, because we all grew up. My generation had seen that film, so we'd all use lines. SEAL team here to get you out. That sort of a thing.
SEAL team, coming to get you out.
And
Nice.
when you lean
Nice.
over and you're like, oh, and another thing in the helicopter, you're welcome. When
One more thing. You're welcome.
so fantastic, all those
Oh,
things.
thank you.
And,
Thank you.
actually, in my, let's see, Only the Dead, which is my sixth novel, at the end, my character goes over the side of this boat. He's handcuffed to this girl who gets shot in the head, goes over. They're shooting in the water. He goes down, has to get out of the handcuff and doing this breath hold, get back on the ship, take care of everybody. And then he goes over the side with this other bad guy. And it's very true. Many people said this reminds me of Charlie Sheen at the end of Navy SEALs when the guy goes up to get the air and you grab him and you pull him back down.
Right.
I do a
Right.
similar thing in that novel. At the end, I have my character, the guy's trying to get up. He grabs him and pulls him back down and kicks him back down and then handcuffs him to this anchor chain and then goes
Oh,
up.
wow.
And the bad
That's
guy
awesome.
Yeah.
And like an homage or partially inspired by
Yes.
or
Yep,
that's
exactly.
incredible.
Little
Wow.
tip of the hat to you guys did, and how you inspired a ton of people from my generation. I was actually going to tell you about it later, but since we're talking about Navy SEALs right now, there was a buddy of mine killed in Afghanistan in March 17th of 2010. Adam Brown, amazing guy. There's a book called Fearless about his life, and it's an incredible book. Anytime anybody asks me about a SEAL book to read, I point them towards Fearless. And it was written about his life after he dies. But in high school, his senior year of high school, he sees, I think it was the preview first for the movie for Navy SEALs, and you jumping out of that Jeep.
See you later!
So he has this thing in his mind that he's going to do this thing. There was this bridge that they would jump off of off the side in Arkansas, the I-70 West Bridge. And he gets the nerve to pull this thing off. And a buddy has a Suzuki Samurai. And in the middle of the night, they go to this bridge and they're going over and he's ready. And he jumps off this thing over the I-70 bridge, which is a big jump. And
At night?
At night. So he can't see anything down there. Like there's, I don't know, boat, trash, a log or anything. But he goes, just like you did, lands in the water, swims to the shore, survives that. And he was always getting hurt. He was always one of these guys. He was just an incredible warrior, and lost his eye, retrains up so he can jump out of planes and shoot with his one eye. It just has like a monocle for a nod and a night vision thing instead of the dual one. Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible guy. And he was killed in 2010.
Wow. I'm so sorry. Wow.
Thank you. He was an amazing guy, but I want to make sure I told you that story, and great guy he was, and how you inspired him to do that jump, which went down in the history not only of his high school but in the SEAL teams now, and it's memorialized in the book Fearless. So
amazing. Yeah, that was Eddie Braun, my stunt double of many years. Yeah, I know, and he. Because you can't really practice something like that. You just kind of work it out in your head and just hope that you've got the velocity of the, versus all the math that's involved. But Ed, because I remember watching, and he was just supposed to go in feet first, and I think he changed the plan. So you've seen what he did, right?
Oh yeah, it looks painful.
He tries to turn himself, but runs out of room, and he kind of hit the water like a C, trying to get into a diving position. He was completely knocked out. I think he fractured a rib, a minor concussion, but we had, because we were working with SEALs on the movie. Yeah. And so we had a couple of the guys in the water just in case something went sideways, and it did. And they were to him in less than like 5 seconds.
Wow.
He didn't even submerge. He hit. And they could see where that first thing where a guy right before the drift down, and they already had him, and a Zodiac was zooming in to load him. Yeah, I was impressed.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
He spent the whole day in the hospital.
I bet. When people watch that movie and watch that jump, you can tell when he hits that water and that crazy inverted.
Right.
Hell, even back then when I was 17 or 16, whatever, I was watching that thing, I could tell that didn't look quite right. Like that land looked like, oh, I wonder if he meant to land like that. There might have been a more graceful way. If it was faked, you would do it like with CGI or whatever, animals
Sure.
today, you would make that more graceful or something. But
Yeah,
then you're like, oh, wow, that looked like it hurt.
it really did. Yeah, because you could hear it. You could hear like that thwack,
Yeah, yeah.
that belly flop thing that we always heard at a pool when we were kids.
Exactly. Ooh,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, when the
Oh,
chubby guy like
yeah.
went in a little hard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and now people are doing. Have you seen these ones on I don't know online where people are doing this thing where they jump out to do the belly flop and they just like put their arms out to the side and their legs out to the side and the whole point is to land like a
Oh,
crazy belly flop from the highest. It looks painful.
like as much smackage as
Yeah,
possible.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. I
Yeah,
just don't.
I'm gonna weigh
Yeah.
off on all that. Yeah. I moved on from all that stuff. I don't need to be jumping off anything too high. I don't need to be jumping out of planes anymore. Not doing any of that sort of thing. I turned the chapter on that part of life, and now it's about writing and taking care of my family and all the rest of it, making these shows that we're making and all that stuff. So I don't need to be jumping out of planes anymore. Don't need to be doing
No,
that stuff that I.
no, you're too valuable to us on the ground.
Well, thank you.
So,
Uh,
yes.
did you jump for
Yeah.
terminal velocity for any of that stuff?
No, I was
Good.
gonna do it, and I would have had to have done it secretly because as
Uh,
soon as I signed on, all the insurance policies and all that stuff, they were like, he's barely jumping out of bed,
right.
Uh, so, but if I was ever gonna do it, it would have been during that time in that headspace.
Right.
And I've never done it. I didn't do it before, didn't do it on the movie, and haven't done it yet. Is
Yeah.
it the thing? Is it a box to check in this life?
I'm glad I did it earlier in life when I did a tandem. I think right when we graduated high school, a bunch of us did a tandem, and then the
Okay.
military, of course, we did the static line and then the free fall. I don't know how to answer that question because having done it, but it is interesting. And
Okay.
you're going out of that bird when you get up there because it's so loud. I think they say that you have a choice once you get up there, and you probably have some sort of a choice, but it's so loud, and you're there, and you're attached to somebody, and you're on the edge of this thing. And if you have any doubts, I think you're going out of that thing, and it just roll out, and you're attached to the front of the person, and relatively safe. And
Okay.
but I think it's something maybe to do once. I would say,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool when it's done.
Okay.
When you get up there, I mean, it's nerve-wracking, I think, all the way up because you're thinking about it. Even for
Sure.
me, in the SEAL teams, having done it, I didn't do it that much, but some guys did thousands and thousands of jumps, and that was not me. I just did it only what was required. So we got up there, and I didn't like the prep, like the packing of the chute and all that stuff. I'm like,
Right.
I'm gonna mess something up all the time. And then you get up there, and you're pre-breathing oxygen. In some cases, you wouldn't have to do that going out with somebody as a tandem. But I liked the flying around. Like once you're out there and you hit that terminal velocity and you're just flying around and you're like, oh, this is awesome. And you're looking at your altimeter. And then when it comes time to pull, that's when it's like the moment of truth, because if it doesn't work, then you have to go into all these procedures to try to fix something. And you only have a fixed amount of time, obviously, to
Sure.
do it before you
Wow.
act. So I liked the flying around, didn't like the pull, moment of truth. Liked it when I had a good canopy above, and then it was good from there. But it's the jumping out part, I guess, was okay, but the ride up, didn't like that, and then didn't like the pull sequence because, like I said, that's the moment of truth.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah.
Well, there's
For over 22 years, Bravo Company has been trusted by professionals who go into harm's way. Because failure is not an option. Built to the highest standards, BCM rifles are made for those who demand reliability, precision, and grit. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just tools forged for the fight. BCM, trusted by warriors, tested by time. Go to BravoCompanyUSA.com to learn more.
So 1994, I'm backpacking through Europe because I wanted the experience my parents had in the 60s doing that. And I was going to join the military. So I was like, I'm going to lose all my freedoms. So I want to have that experience I heard about my whole life from my parents. And so I'm backpacking through Europe, and we're in I think we're in like Corfu or something. And for some reason that summer, it might be a thing. It might have been a thing in the 80s and 90s where these rumors would just come out and would pass along all these like teenage backpackers in Europe. And one of them in Corfu, there's no way to check anything in Corfu at that time anyway.
Where is Corfu?
in Greece. Yeah, so
Oh, it's in
island,
Greece. Okay, got it. Got it.
in
Okay.
Greece. And so we're on this island in Greece. There's no internet. There's no, I don't even think there's like a phone where we were. But there was a rumor that Charlie Sheen was killed in the Swiss Alps in an avalanche. Have you ever heard
Oh
that?
gosh.
Heard that before?
Um, wow. I don't think. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard the I died rumors, and
Yeah.
that's a trip like like reading something like that.
Isn't
But
that,
then
yeah.
my first question was like, okay, have I? And everything on the other side is just identical, but I won't know that until somebody walks in the room, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they're crying and they can't see me or whatever, or they're celebrating. Who
That's
knows, right?
crazy.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
that's crazy.
so no, I don't remember that one specifically, but
Isn't
that's
that wild?
semi-heroic, right?
Yeah. You're
That's some
thinking
kind of a
like,
manly way to go, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the Fleming books, I think James Bond parents they get killed in an avalanche. I think they were rock climbing, but regardless. So I pictured you like skiing on a glacier. I'm like, no way, this is awful, you know. And there's another one, and I forget the other rumor. Right? That one's I've lost to time, but there was either two or three that were floating around that summer, especially on these little islands. And I think people would just start them to just see if they took off or not
If they
before
travel, yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that was one. And so when I found out this was not the case once we got back, I think to mainland Greece or to Italy or wherever we were going next, it was quite a relief to know that you were okay.
Oh, right on. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
I was just
Wow,
curious if you heard that.
I've been kind of connected to your journey
I know.
in a way that's pretty cool.
It is.
It's like,
It's crazy, and it's even more.
yeah,
It even goes back further. It even goes back further. With Platoon, starting with Red Dawn and Platoon. I think you came on my radar probably with Red Dawn. I would think, and of course Ferris Bueller. But going back to Apocalypse Now, I wanted to, because obviously when I'm watching Apocalypse Now, I don't yet know. There's not any behind the scenes type things where it would be readily apparent that you were there with your dad. The family was there, so we didn't know any
sure.
of that until very recently.
Right.
But
Right.
when you look back, I mean, it's so great when you cover that in here. For anybody who hasn't picked this book up, it's, I mean, so honest. And what surprised me is how well written this
Oh,
thing.
thank you.
There's some
Thank
great
you.
sentences. I put some actually in the back. I put some notes here that have like, look at that, beautifully written, page 102. Boom. And I have this other thing up there. Ask about line 45. Great line 136. Beautiful. Like I have like all
Oh,
things
wow.
really well
Wow.
written. Things
I'm honored. Thank you.
really
Thank
cool.
you. No, that
And
is so, yeah, well, that's so flattering. Thank you.
I mean,
Um,
it's really good. I hope everybody, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't say enough great things about this book. I'm almost finished with it right here because I'm on book tour right now. So I'm in the middle of
yeah,
the tour, so I have a little section left right there.
I can't
Yeah,
believe that you even have the time to do, because I'm in the middle of one too.
yeah,
It started, promoting the doc and the book, and then and the doc, did what it did and did gangbusters.
amazing.
So it's not like we need to keep the doc in theaters. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I
Right.
still want people to see it. But I
Yeah,
think at this stage, now it's more about promoting the book and trying to let people know that just because you've seen the doc doesn't mean that you shouldn't read the book, because I think the stories are told
yep,
differently. I think they're more personal. I think they're more introspective. I think they're funnier in the book because, as you well know, telling a story in a documentary it's a bit of a performance piece. I mean, you have to you have to deliver it in a way where it's engaging. It's time sensitive, and it's just you can only pack so many details
right,
into speaking to a camera for like 5 or 7 minutes for that
right,
story. That same story with 2 weeks to just drill into it,
yeah,
and also be reminded of things that I'd forgotten
yeah,
that came to me later once I had a chance to really sit down and
right.
just breathe with it.
Oh yeah.
So
No, that's
yeah.
right. That's exactly right. They're companion pieces, I think, to one another. And I was in Morocco before this, filming the TV show True Believer, which is my second book with Pratt over there. We wrapped that, went to Europe, saw my wife for a few days before I jumped right into book tour. So I've only seen the first part of the documentary, and I thought I'd
Okay.
have some more time to watch it on the road here for book tour, but I haven't yet. So, that first episode of the documentary, amazing, and
Oh,
then
thank you.
more than half of this, and exactly what you said, they're companion pieces. People, it's not one one or the other. It's not, oh, I like to read or I like documentaries. These are companion pieces to each other, and
All right on.
different and amazing. Both amazing, though. I mean,
Thank you.
great things
Thank
about
you. That is, and you're a man who knows.
I know how much work it goes into doing both, and
Yeah,
and I
no,
didn't
no,
know
but
much
you're
about the Hollywood side before I jumped into it. And oh
right.
my goodness, I mean, it is. I mean, obviously, as you know, there are so many opportunities for any project to go off the rails at any given time. There are so many
Sure.
people that are involved, and there's so many constraints when you're telling a story on film. And in a book, it's just you can do what you want. You're not dealing with budgetary constraints and actor constraints as far as availability and location and all the rest of it. So so very different. But these are fantastic. Everybody should grab
Oh,
this.
thank you.
The
Thank
documentary.
you.
Absolutely incredible. It's
Awesome.
it's in the
Awesome.
airport with my book right now. So I have all these pictures. I posted one today. You're right.
Oh, okay.
I have my book and I'm signing in the airport. So they're like right next to each other. It's
Yeah,
cool.
okay. I have to weigh in on that. I have to collab with that, or I have to join that. I'm kind of new to Instagram. I came to social media through Twitter, you know, and so IG, I kind of liken it to if you learned on a PC and then you go to a Mac, a whole different OS, right?
That's
So yes, I'm still kind of clunky with it.
okay.
And people are like, "Hey, man, I DM'd you like 2 weeks ago," and I'm like, "Oh, there you are," you know. So
A lot.
I just can't figure out the actual version on Instagram of reposting. Is there even such a thing?
There
Or, you-
is.
or is
Well,
it just
it's
to
where
your
it gets a little,
story?
yes, just
Then
your
it's only there
story.
for a day,
Right,
but
that's
then
it. But there is a repost app, multiple ones that you can get.
oh,
So you hit the repost app, you have to give it your password and everything so it has access to your Instagram. Then
okay,
you go over, you copy the link. Someone will it will be able to show you how to do this, but it is
okay,
one extra step. And then you go back to the repost app, hit post, and then it's copied into your photos, and the copy of the actual writing as well is now
oh,
you can put that in an email to yourself, or you can just paste it directly into to the repost.
I
So
got you. I
yeah.
got you.
So there's
Okay,
like one additional step. So I'll walk you through it. I can walk you through it. I've had to learn also over the last 8 years because I had no social media before when I was in the SEAL teams. Didn't ever want any. Part of the allure of being an author was that I could go up to the mountains, write a book in my cabin or something like that, send it to New York, maybe do one interview and go back to writing a book. Like when I was a kid, reading all the
right.
books that I was reading in the 80s and 90s, that was part of the allure. And now today, battle space has shifted a little bit, and you have to be a bit more engaged as an author if you want to hit the same level of readership that some of those guys were hitting when I was reading them back in the 80s and 90s, because there's so many
Sure.
distractions. So it's a bit different today. But social media is a tool, just like anything else, I think, and can you
It
use
is.
good or for
It
ill.
is. Yes. For yeah. No, I dove in, obviously, I cannonballed into the deep end with it, when during the chaos of 2011 and 12 and all
Oh
that,
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of at the genesis of Twitter, and I don't think any of us really knew what it was, or why it mattered, or if
Right,
it would still matter at some point, if it was
right.
going to have legs, but then drifted from it, so I'm kind of back in it and using it, as you just said, as a tool,
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
tool, and it's actually really cool. Some people will reach out, people I'm a fan of, or they're doing some shit that I'm curious about, and they'll leave their phone number, and I'm like, I'll just write back, and it's a really cool way to connect.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
but you've also got the kind of the built-in excuse that I'm new to it, that I didn't see it. I'm not
Yeah,
blowing
that's
somebody
good.
off. I
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
yeah. And
Stick with that as long as you
also,
can.
yeah, right. And also, when people see us out on these tours and all of these podcasts and all these interviews and all of this content, and they see how freaking busy we are, right? So I think that helps as well, to
Mm.
say, don't. It's not personal. I'm just
Yeah.
not. There's, like I said earlier, barely time to eat.
It's crazy. I'm the same thing. I just grabbed a quick little sandwich at Starbucks this morning because I knew I wasn't going to eat probably the rest of the day till after my book tour event tonight, because
Sure,
it's
sure.
insanity.
And
It's
and then a lot of these studios that I'm finding myself in, they're like, well, you'll have a few minutes once you get there. What would you like to eat? And it's not, you can't sit down and have a cheeseburger and then sit down with Joe Rogan. You can't,
Right.
I mean, I did have
Yeah.
breakfast before I talked with Tucker, right?
Oh, nice.
But you don't want to have a bunch of shit in your teeth. You don't want to
No,
have,
exactly.
you don't want to get the burps. You don't want to, also,
Yeah.
you don't want a stomach full of blood where suddenly your energy
Exactly.
is not here, right? So
Exactly.
my thing is like, just a couple of muscle milk and some 5 hour energy, and I'm good.
There you go. Nice.
I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna do a
Yeah.
little bit for breakfast. I missed it yesterday because we had such an early flight, but today I had a little breakfast, but I won't eat till later tonight. But you're exactly right on all that. And you did a great job on Rogan, by the way. I was just with him like 2 days ago.
Oh, right on. Right on. Thank you.
So we
Thank
didn't
you.
talk about your appearance actually on the show
Oh, you
again.
did? Okay.
And I just wanted to say what a great job you did on there. I was talking to Rogan about this on our show, and that what a very thoughtful job that you guys did when the Charlie Kirk information came down, and you have to deal with it in real time
In
coming
real
back into the
time.
studio, and that's a tough thing to deal with in real time when you don't know all the information coming in, and what you say is going to be out there forever. And
Sure.
handled it as well as anyone could, and it was very thoughtful, and I really appreciated that. So
Oh,
you did.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I really let Joe take the lead on that one, and just contributed, I hope with grace and compassion,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I mean, Joe and I will never forget where
Yeah.
we were,
Ex-
and kind of a trip that we did not a super deep dive, but we went, kind of a little bit further down the path, with the JFK assassination.
I
And we're
know.
literally talking about that on that episode. And then that, yeah, I
That was
know,
That was crazy. And I knew
right?
that it happened. Then I watched it and I knew I'd seen the clips. So I knew you talked about it at some point. I didn't know it was right at the end until I listened to the whole episode.
Right.
But to know that that was coming and then to hear you guys talking about JFK earlier on, like that was a kind of a trip
It's a little eerie. It's a
it
little
was
eerie.
exactly
Yeah.
the right word.
Yeah.
Right word.
Um,
But you guys did an amazing job, very thoughtful and
oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna look forward to seeing your episode with Joe. Yeah.
thank you.
Now,
Yeah, it was fun.
do you even have time to watch all the stuff that you're doing?
Nope.
I don't
Nope.
either.
No, you
I don't
can't.
either.
There's no way.
I see the clips that people want me to not repost but collab, right?
There you go. Collab. Yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, and so I'll see stuff that just pops up, but only like a 10-second or a 20-second.
Right.
So I haven't been able to. Plus, there's a thing that once I watch it back, then I don't own it anymore from my point of view.
That's really interesting.
There's something kind of about that, just because people are like, you never take photos. There's no, there's always like, room on your phone. You never use up all your data. And I just tell them that I take the best photos up here,
Interesting.
and I'm not always, I don't need something between me and the moment to
Yeah.
make sure that it's like to document it or,
Right.
I mean, of course, something with the kids as they're growing up and stuff
Right.
like that. You kind of want those memories, but just like walking around, some cool shit happens or there's a thing and it's just, yeah, I'm just never that guy. So I think that's connected to not really wanting to see stuff back because I'm going to pick it apart.
Yeah.
And, and then when I'm searching for a word on a podcast, right, that I'm watching and I'm yelling the word at
I
myself
know.
and I still don't, pick the right one.
Worst.
And then there's like that. And then there's an aspect of failure to it
Yeah.
or didn't meet the moment or,
Right.
yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself.
Yeah, I understand. Is it at the beginning I did maybe like when I didn't have very many interviews back in 2018 or something like that, but now there's just no time. And also if I did go back to watch one, I'd want to pick it apart and try to, how can I do this better? But what I need to be doing is writing the next book, not figuring out how I can make an interview a degree better or 2 degrees better.
Exactly.
The book better by
Exactly.
this much. So
Oh, you
it's,
mean keep doing the thing that got you on the show?
that's it. That's
Right?
it.
I mean,
Exactly.
Jesus.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. Do you,
Wow.
is it the same way when you watch, because I think I read it in the book or the documentary, and you talk about, I think you said you only watched Wall Street twice or something like
Correct. Yeah.
that. And the other films though, did you watch those? And I mean, you have to at some premieres.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and
No, I'll
are
watch
you
the
doing the same
film.
thing?
I'll watch the television shows. I'll watch films because that's more about just wanting to improve.
Got it.
Or if I tried something I wasn't comfortable with, just kind of see if that's a color I wear well or not, or
Right.
just see something and like, okay, that's in the slag heap forever,
Right.
but also to get it, there's well, as you know, I mean, there's 200 or 300 people involved in a production, and just kind of see how the DP, how the director, how it's lit, yeah, no, I do still like to watch, even if I'm in something, just from the audience's perspective, which is how I'll read a script. I
Okay.
usually read a script twice,
Okay.
if it warrants that, and I'll read it as though I'm watching it. And by the end of the first act, am I still engaged? Am I still curious about the journey these people are on? Or have I already figured everything out, or think I've figured it out? And then I'll go back and then focus more on the character, on the part that they think I'm worthy of inhabiting, So yeah, this is like the only medium that it's like I had an example with Saturday Night Live, and I hosted in 2000 or 2001, and it was it was a hell of an experience. Nothing
Okay.
I need to repeat. These people go back and they host like 10 times,
Yeah.
and I'm like, why, right? And that's fine. I'm glad they're doing it, so I don't have to, right? But I never wanted to watch it because the experience from my point of view and everything that happened, I was really, it was just the memories were really warm, and they were really all steeped in goodness, right?
Fantastic.
And then my buddy Tony Todd, who's in the doc, right?
Yeah.
And a couple years had gone by, and he was like, "See, let's check out your SNL. Let's check out your SNL." I'm like, "Nah, I did it. Us watching it isn't going to change anything, right?" He's like, "Yeah, but it'd be kind of cool to watch it with you." I'm like, "Okay, all right, I'll give you that." And we watched it, and I sat there and I hated it. I hated most of it,
Oh.
and I could see how nervous I was, that I was taking the whole thing too seriously. I was really excited about all the co-stars and the scene. I'm like, well, he did that. What was I doing? I picked it apart to death.
Oh man.
So that was kind
Well,
of that
ruined
moment.
the memory of it. It ruined your memory of not ruined
Kinda-
it. It shifted your memory of it then? Like your good memories of it? Tainted it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, and I told Tony, I said, "Hey, man, this is why I
Gotcha.
kind of have this rule,
okay.
And but if there's anybody I was going to break it for, he's a good guy to do that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Fantastic.
And I'm not blaming him.
Yes, of course. Not his fault.
He's off the hook. Tony, you're off the hook.
I understand. I understand why you do that. And gosh, I can't believe time is flying by.
I want to give a very special shout out to SKB Cases for partnering on this year's Cry Havoc pub boxes. I love SKB Cases. I use them for my rifles, pistols, shotguns, bows. The kids use them for their musical instruments. We use them here for the audio-visual equipment. There are thousands of ways to use SKB Cases. And in my case, see what I did there? I use it for my books. And right here, Cry Havoc, available in hardcover, ebook, and audio. SKB, thanks so much.
When you started actually acting and seeing yourself now in especially particularly in the Red Dawn and then Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and see those two different characters, and then move into Platoon, and then everything that changes after that, did you know you had such range, or were you just kind of, because you grew up in this family with your father and then your brother, and it's just a part of your life. It seems like that's your normal, kind of like the military in the SEAL teams. Like that's our normal for these families. It's not actually normal to leave and go downrange to Iraq and Afghanistan for 6 months and then come home and then train for another year when you're away from your family and go down and do it again. But it's normal in those circles. Was growing up around acting and then doing those amazing films that you guys made. Oh, I love that in your bio. So in the back right here, actor best known for leading roles in Platoon, Wall Street, Major League, and Rooftop Killer. And I read that. I read this before I saw the doc, and I was like, Rooftop Killer. I'm like, how could I have? Like, I know everything Charlie Sheen has ever been in, and I don't what is this Rooftop Killers? And I was like, oh, interesting. And then I find out it's one of the ones you guys made. And I think it is genius that you put it
Thank
here in
you.
the
Thank
bio.
you.
Fantastic.
I asked them to do that for me. And I just as one of those things, just kind of poking fun at the way those things are like, very rigid and they're supposed to be written and
Right.
just give you these very
Great.
specific facts. And I was like, can we just, I mean, it's a movie that I'm in. I mean, it's not a
Yeah.
lie. I said, if we could add Rooftop Killer, that'd be a
So great.
huge highlight for me. And they were like,
So great.
what? They were like, let's do it,
It's the best. It's so
you
great.
know?
And that people
And
can connect them to them when they see the doc. Oh, there it is. We'll read it in here. But to see it there for the
exactly.
first time, if you start there, you're like, wait a
What
second.
the hell? What is that thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even when I come across it, if I'm signing a book for somebody, or if they need my approval on like a new cover with a blurb on it or something like that, right? Every time I read it, it cracks me up.
So great. So
Every
great.
time I read that it's in that
Yeah,
little
I love
bio
it.
piece,
It's
it's just
fantastic.
God, it cracks me.
I thought that was genius.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's also a shout out to Chris Penn.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, amazing.
yeah.
When did you conceptualize that you had this range as an actor that most people either they want to prove that they have the range or they don't do that because they know what they're good at and they're going to stick with it, whether it's action or drama or a comedy or whatever.
Sure.
And then maybe when they get some more freedom later down the line, maybe they dabble in some other things. But you had this range from the beginning. I mean, you're doing these. I mean, Platoon. You're doing. You're into Wall Street, and I want to ask you really quickly about that. But then you're moving into like Major League and Hot Shots and all these and the incredible range. And then we get to television and Spin City and Two and a Half Men. Like the range is remarkable with
Thank
what
you.
you've
Thank
done.
you.
And did you think about that along the way, or were you just like just going, just doing projects?
It was kind of it was both. But it was I kind of I've always related to a very specific style of comedy, and I've always related to the straight man,
Yeah.
the
Right.
guy who's the anchor and all the nuttiness, is orbiting his position. And so because none of the comedy that I ever took on required it's like there's Jim Carrey, right? I mean, that is like just ownership, right? And like reinvented things about it, brilliantly, and a lovely man. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going near any of that because
Right.
the courage that takes is other level, and you got to have a different brain. And so like I saw Airplane in Westwood with Emilio when I was 12, and we sat on a Friday night at the Fox Theater, and just it was the funniest thing we'd ever seen. Animal House. These are the films that really,
Yeah.
and I was a huge Woody Allen fan growing up. The first time I went to see I saw his first film accidentally when I was going to see Jaws again, and I didn't know it was a double bill. And I sat through this film that was playing in front of it called Take the Money and Run, and I
Mhm.
thought it was the funniest, greatest comedy I'd ever seen. And so those were the influences. But
Yeah.
as far as making those choices, it was really more about if the film didn't work or we had this surefire thing that okay and it just shat the bed, right?
Yeah. Right.
It was about, all right, let's just try something else. Let's just roll the dice and do different
Yeah.
part of the table, but it was also cool that it a lot of that was just right place, right time when when a project would show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never the guy that like had that plan. I'm gonna do, 3 movies every 2 years, and one of them has to be this, and the other two should look like that. And if it's something else, oh, and then there's room for the art film, the
Right.
art
Right.
house film
Exactly.
with a
Right.
director that
Exactly.
matters.
Exactly.
So it wasn't. People say, I'd rather be lucky than good, but if you can be
Right.
both, then
Hey.
go get it,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So no, but it's and I don't really think about it until people bring it up, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh wow, that's kind of cool that that there was these opportunities that just if you looked at them all on paper, you would see that there's no there's no through line,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's why it's so great. That's why it's so varied,
Thank
and
you.
it's an
Thank
incredible
you.
foundation of work. And I do feel like I've been on this journey, because I was in those formative years between age, let's say, I don't know, 9 and 20 or something, like 10 and 20, let's say. I mean, those are very formative years for somebody, particularly, and for young men looking up to people in films, because films are acting like mentors. So you're watching Red Dawn as a 10-year-old, like, oh my gosh, what
Right.
is this NC-17 thing or whatever it was at that time? I think it was one of the
It
first
was the
one.
first PG 13.
13, that's it. And
Yes, it was the
watching
first
that
one.
10-year-old in the theater, like, oh my gosh, and realizing, oh, this is something different here. There's something special. And then seeing Platoon a couple years later when you're already on this path to join the military, because that's what I wanted to do, and to see that performance in there. But it's almost like actors from the 80s and 90s become almost their characters, I should say, become mentors, because you're not
Interesting.
following them around. There's no TikTok and all the rest of it and Instagram
Right,
and
right.
stuff. But the character that they play really does become a mentor, that kid that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, like all of that. So I feel like I've been on this journey, from the outside, watching you do all this for so long. And one thing about Navy SEALs is, I think one of the first black collared polo shirt I got is because I saw that movie, and in the golf sequence, I didn't own a pair of khaki pants, and I remember my friend had a pair of khaki pants. I just had jeans, and so I borrowed his khaki pants, and I think I got a black collared shirt like that, and I wore it to the next year in high school, because that movie came out in the summer, and I wore it like for.
Wow.
But the pants were too tight because the guy I borrowed them from were too was
He
smaller
was
than I was. So I trying to button them. I remember
God.
I was trying to, like, I'm like, I think I tucked in my shirt for the first time because you had that in the movie, and when you're out there on
Right.
the golf course.
Wow.
That's breaking news for anybody watching this, by the way.
That's amazing.
That's
That is amazing. Wow. And that was Eddie again doing
oh
that
wow.
thing where he backs
Car.
that car off and
So
180s it. And then,
so
yeah,
great.
that's a fun sequence. It's a
So
fun sequence.
fantastic.
And that is probably the second time or the third in my life that I've played golf.
Interesting. I've never really played it either. I've been out on a course for like a charity type event or whatever, but
Right.
never to actually
Right.
do it. But hey, you guys made it look well. You guys aren't in that. You're not really playing golf too. You're on doing the pool sticks,
Exactly.
the whole thing. I have a
Exactly.
good time. But it was all fantastic. But there's so many things in the book and in the doc. Your dad and Al Pacino, ushers in New York City. You talk about that. You talk about Rooftop Killer. You talk about OJ and the ping pong story. So those are, I mean, everybody should get the book and watch the doc for those. I was going to ask you, but maybe we'll have to catch up again sometime. Memories of Brando, Hopper, Duvall. You do cover some of that, being on set
Sure.
for Apocalypse
Sure.
Now, around those guys. I did have to ask, because I want to know what happened to the hand that you brought back from Apocalypse Now and then used in some of the films you guys were making as
Right. Right.
kids.
Right.
What happened to that hand?
I think it just sort of disintegrated,
Oh,
like with and
yeah,
into
yeah.
the sands of time.
Got it.
But
Yeah,
well, that's what we would do. We would reverse engineer.
yeah.
We would get something and be like, okay, this has to be cut off at some point. So let's figure out who that character is, why he winds up in that situation, and who's doing the cutting.
So
It
great.
was it was like that, you know.
So fantastic. So
But it's
fantastic.
yeah, no, because I don't I spend a decent amount of time on Apocalypse
Yeah.
and then again on Platoon because I felt like you notice I don't spend a lot of time on sets in the book because then
Yeah.
it just becomes a lot of behind the scenes stuff
Right.
and if I like you know if I did one I'd have to do the next one and then the next one and then it just turns into a more of like
Right.
it's about that and not about my experiences or my feelings in those experiences, you know.
Right.
But I did pick the few that I think people would be curious about and hopefully be satisfied that there's some stuff in there that you can't find archivally or in the archives from like just interviews
Right.
from the 80s and 90s and
Right.
the aughts, you know.
Right. Yes. Yes. Well, you certainly pull that off in here, and it's interesting that was a deliberate. I didn't know until just now that was a deliberate decision to do it like that, but it works out perfectly. And there's some great lines in here. Before I have to go, here's just one of them. If the gods weren't fully smiling on me yet, they were certainly grinning. I just had to make sure whatever smirk I offered back was good enough to fool them. That's a great line.
Thank
And
you.
this is replete with lines like that
Thank you.
I think are
Thank
just
you.
genius. I'd read a bunch more if we had time, but there is one thing that we'll read this one. I never had to count the days in the Philippines. The jungle and the rain did that for me. The month of June sat just over the next ridge, signaling a full year since my initial arrival. I mean, it's just beautiful line. But
Thank
here I
you.
do want to end on this one because I think it's really. And I wanted to ask about Clinton and Dolly, but we'll leave that. People can find that in the book or in the doc. That's fantastic.
I've reconnected with Dolly because
No
of
way.
this whole thing. Yeah, she's
No
doing
way.
great. She's a
Oh,
lovely
fantastic.
lady.
That is
Yeah.
great to hear. That is great
Yeah.
to hear. That's
Yeah.
really,
And she loved the book. She was like so entertained and felt so honored to be a part of it. And
so.
no, so that was really great news to get from her. But
Oh,
anyway, what was the last thing the thing you were just
last thing I
going to
want to
say?
do is it's about your mom here, and this is still from Apocalypse Now set, so you're fairly young here, and you write a week before we left, I told mom I wanted all the days leading up to Saturday to disappear so we could get to Hong Kong faster. Her response is one that never left me. Don't wish your days away, sweetheart. They'll vanish on their own, quicker than you can imagine. That's wise right there.
Yeah, she wasn't lying, was she?
No, no. I think anybody at this stage of life that we're in will relate to that, and I think
Yeah.
younger people as well. That's something
And then that moment is called back when
Yeah.
we go home and dad has had the heart attack and he's trying to finish those couple of weeks, and it's something about and those became days I'm sure mom would have been fine with dad wishing away.
Yep, I remember that one.
Right?
The callback was perfect. I
Oh,
heard
thank
that
you.
in there.
Thank
That
you.
was absolutely perfect. Here's just another beautiful line, and it is talking about your dad's heart attack, so something that's very scary, but it's a beautiful line. The kind of space where a quiet can exist, and the artifacts of the crisis can be explored in privacy and prayer. I mean, come on.
Thank you. Thank
Amazing.
you.
Come on, that's ridiculous. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. That's why I knew I had to write this myself, because the common thing is, for an actor or musician, they
Right.
always want to put the guy with you, let's keep it safe, make sure it gets delivered. I'm like, I could do that, but then I've never written a book. All I've done is told stories that went through
Right.
somebody else's filter and went on the page. And then he has to start sentences with the word I. How do you do that? How do
Right.
you write something authentically,
Right.
knowing you're not the person and I did this?
Right.
And plus, I was like, so basically, it'll be a person I've known for an hour, and I start telling the stories, and they go away, and then 2 weeks later, I read. I couldn't go anywhere near that.
Yep. Well, it's quite obvious that this is you, and
Amazing.
so impressive. Everybody should
Amazing.
watch the documentary, get the book. Wish we had more time. Like I said, I didn't
I
get
do
to
too, Jack. I do too.
anything.
This is awesome. We can do this
so
again.
nice.
We can
Oh,
do this
sure.
again. And in the next time, you and I will probably be in different parts of the world, both backstage, like on a freaking selfie.
Awesome.
Like,
Yeah.
what?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
And our paths will cross soon. I have a feeling.
I have a
Yes,
feeling as well. And
Yeah.
and
And if they don't just cosmically, let's nudge that to happen
Let's do it.
into existence. Yeah.
Let's
No,
do it.
it
That'd
would
be
be a real
fantastic.
pleasure.
Oh,
Yeah.
pleasure be all mine. It'd be such an honor, and I thank you for taking this time with me today.
No,
You've been on
thank
the
you.
book tour for a long time. You've been hitting it hard. I've been watching, and you've been handling it so well. And
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
honest, so authentic, which is so important today. So real, and really connecting with a whole bunch of people that were rooting for you for decades, and now get to know you a little better through this in such an honest,
That's amazing.
such a
That's
low
amazing.
detail, and just incredible. So, thank you so much for
I'm
everything.
honored. I'm flattered, and this is one I'm going to watch back.
Oh, well, hopefully it doesn't remind you of the Saturday Night Live appearance.
And not even close. Not even close.
Amazing. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm an hour late. I can see my phone.
Oh, shit.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm a minute late for the AM.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
jump over there. But thank you so much.
Will you please blame me on the radio?
Oh, I will actually.
Okay, good. Just say I requested that.
I will. I think it's actually a Zoom radio thing, so I'll hold this up again. So
Awesome.
yeah, perfect.
Awesome. All right, Jack. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Take
much.
care.
Right on.
Bye-bye.
All right. Be well.
This episode of the Danger Close podcast is brought to you by Cry Havoc. From New York Times #1 bestselling author, Jack Carr. Cry Havoc, a Tom Reese thriller. Order now.
Watch a Cry Havoc teaser here, or watch another episode of the podcast here.